Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. And a good one it is.
Yeah, it is. It's been hot. It's been real hot.
It's been real hot, like 3-digit hot, you know.
Exactly. But guess what else is hot?
Our listeners?
That's right. They're downloading you guys. I can't thank you enough. And I tell you what, we really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you, man. We definitely could not do it without you or your friends.
That's right. And when you tell your friends, please make sure you tell them that you heard it here first. That's
right, because almost every time we hear something for the first time, every time we do one of these podcasts too. So, you know, and I'm sure we're gonna hear a little tasty tidbit today as well, because we have a very cool singer-songwriter blues guitarist on the show that's I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna say ambidextrous.
Yes,
we'll put it that way. So we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and we're going to come right back with our guest of the week, Mr. Nick Schnebelen.
This is Billy Campbell. I play guitar in Low Cash, and you're listening to Amps and Axes.
All right, and we are back as promised with our guest of the week, because we always try to keep our promise. And here with us on the line is Mr. Nick Schnebelen. Nick, how are you?
Man, I'm great. How you guys doing today?
We are doing great. And where are you speaking to us from?
I am in Kansas City right now, Kansas City, Missouri.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just, you know, it's I've been traveling so much. It's nice to be home right now. It's been a wild couple months, so kind of, you know, sit back and think about it and think about all the experiences and the shows. It's just been really cool. It's been a great summer so far.
Cool. So obviously, Kansas City is home base. So that brings us to the beginning of the podcast. And what I like to do is take our guest into the Wayback Machine and find out where Mr. Nick Schnebelen came from and what got you into this wonderful, crazy world of music, man. So give us some history.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. No problem. You know, the thing about it is you know, I grew up in Missouri, and down in a little town called Rich Hill, Missouri, and my parents played music. Growing up, they played, and it was about 70 miles south of Kansas City. But my parents would go up into the city and play a lot and perform, you know, in some rock bar bands and also playing blues and things like that. And then when I was about 10 years old or so, my dad made a real big shift towards straight blues, and that's when I really started coming to play with him and studying guitar and learning how to play myself. And, you know, it was a interesting way to come up into the blues, and that's where I stayed for a long time, and, you know, still am.
Now, was he a guitarist?
Yes, he was a guitarist, and my mother was a singer. She still is a singer, and he passed away in '99. But his rig was a Fender Twin, like a '80s, real, like a nice Fender Twin with a Firebird, with the Gibson Firebird, '76 Firebird.
Nice.
Those two guitars are that combination was just hot. That's for sure.
That's really cool, man. He did he make his living that way?
He did partially. He also had a job, you know, most of the time. But when he really then later on he made a shift and really just got away from that and just focused on playing music, you know, towards the last 10, 12 years of his life. He was just pretty much just playing.
Oh, nice.
And,
nice.
Yeah.
So there was
and I played with him. I just played with him through high school, and had a chance to meet a lot of musicians in Kansas City. Whether our parents were rehearsing with them or we were out gigging with them. That's how we kind of came up into it.
Well, cool. So, what was I going to ask you? What was your dad your biggest influence that got you into music, or was there, some band or group or something that happened that you went, yeah, I like what my dad's doing, but now this is what really made me want to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first songs I ever figured out on guitar was a Black Crow song off of Shake Your Money Maker. That was one of the first, that kind of it was still Southern and rockin, but it still had a few elements of blues to it, in places, and I always appreciated that, especially the piano player in that band, really, had a lot of that blues thing going on. That was a cool thing about growing up in Kansas City at that time. We had a lot of the new blues guys that were around, and killer jazz players that, after the blues scene kind of picked up, they kind of, just were influenced by that. So we had a lot of this like jazz blues stuff. And then we also had, a lot of the old guys were still around. There were still 5 or 6, little Hatch with this awesome harp player from Kansas City. And, those old guys that showed us, how it was really done originally, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's so cool to have old school influences to actually be around and to see and to, to absorb things from and learn from. That's really cool to have the ability to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was really, really special. And then of course, and my sister, and there's also like a other style of blues in Kansas City. It's like funky kind of booty blues sort of thing, and that whole scene and a little more of the R&B feel too is real prominent in Kansas City too. So it's like a lot of different blues styles, that are here organically and naturally existing here. So it's cool, and so we all take a little bit from everybody that we can. And when we formed our blues band Trampled Under Foot with my brother and sister and I, we knew going in many different styles of blues to write around.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned you started to play with your dad, and he had the Firebird twin combination. What was your first rig with your dad? What was the first guitar that you picked up, and then what was your rig with your dad?
First guitar I picked up, probably my parents had got me an acoustic when I was a kid, but I wasn't allowed to touch my dad's electric guitars. I was just so young. But they got me acoustic guitars when I was a kid, and that's what I kind of started figuring out how difficult it is to play guitar, and that it's going to take a lot of time and effort and dedication to stick with it to get to make a good chord, and a good sound. Mm-hmm. His rig, and so my first good one, and I'm left-handed, but my dad found me a right-handed Ibanez Les Paul. And it was one of those Les Pauls that Ibanez made that was like, I think he got in trouble for it.
The lawsuit stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a nice guitar, but it was but I was playing upside down. I played upside down, and so it was weird to have that cutaway there when I was just starting to play. But the guitar sounded better than anything I could have gotten at the music store at the time. So I was happy to have that guitar, and so I played upside down for several years, for about 4 or 5 years as an early teenager. And then when I was about 15 or so, I'd started going to performing arts high school and studying music for 4 hours a day, and then academics for 4 hours a day. But when the music, I got to study guitar there. So I wanted to start finger picking. And I know that if you're going to finger pick, you have to have this guitar strung correctly. So your thumb can play the bass strings and your fingers can play the top strings. Yeah. So then I flipped it over and I spent a whole summer getting it back. So now that's the way I play now. It's strung right. But I still, all those years playing upside down, I still play upside down.
It's
look at that.
So you went years with playing, just taking a right-handed guitar, flipping it over and playing it strung upside down. And then you have to learn with it strung correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't hard at all, Jeff.
No, it's just like
it's a Wednesday.
Cracking your skull open and flipping your brain over.
just
wow.
flipping your brain over. Yeah, but those old guys can get some really cool licks playing upside down, and and you can stand. So there's things that I'll do that'll kind of need that in the studio or something like that. So I'll just throw it on and do it that way.
That's crazy.
Did you say that you are still able to play strung upside down as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I can. Yeah, wow. It was funny. When I won the Albert King Award in 2008 for Best Guitarist, and my family band won the Best Band in 2008, and they gave me a very nice white Les Paul Custom right-handed because they didn't know who was going to win. They had the award guitar already there. So they gave me the righty. So I took it around all summer and played it at festivals, and as kind of like a last 2 or 3 song thing. And then the next year they gave me a really nice custom shop 335 that was white.
Ooh.
And the funny story about that is too that Gibson, I called them in 2001 and asked them to build. Like, can you build me a custom shop left-handed 335? They said, we don't do that. I said, you don't? Uh-huh. I said, not even for more money. You don't do that. They said, no, we don't make left-handed custom shop 335. So then I asked for a white one. Well, I never got it, so I got a Les Paul instead, which I love. But then Gibson turned around and they gave me one for free. Exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
Now I got to ask because when I met you, you were opening up for Davey Knowles, correct?
Yes.
At the Ram's Head in Annapolis. And we had a bit of a conversation because, Jeff, I think you were working with Davey because he had taken one of your East amps at that time, and you were helping him tweak that. And the 335 that you have that looks like the American flag is actually a right-handed guitar that you had converted left-handed, right?
Yeah, that was my first old Gibson that I got. And I got it because the price tag was right on it, and I had heard there was a music store that had a 335 for $1,200, a 66, and it was left-handed. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Left-handed 335 for that much?" So I went and saw the guitar, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Somebody had taken a right-handed one,
yeah,
and plugged the holes.
And it's
they moved
really
everything over. They did it.
Yeah, it's really good job, Jeff. That thing looks perfect.
I never got a close-up look at it. I do remember seeing it in the boat, though. I do remember seeing that in the boat.
Oh, yeah. No, see, it used to be wine red, and then you could see the plug holes where they had plugged it, and I just didn't like it, and the whole thing was falling apart. So I had designed it with a friend, luthier, in Flowertown, PA, outside of Philadelphia. His name's Tim Hinkey. He rebuilt it all by hand, and we painted it and put some other pearl stars in it and some Spercells on it, tuning keys, and but I kept the original pickups and all the original hardware, made a few changes, and now it's just an awesome guitar.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's done right.
It's a thin line, so it's got a banjo neck, like it's so thin down at the bottom.
And it's so funny that Gibson said no, we don't do left-handed 335s. It's like, I can understand you don't do a left-handed Les Paul because it's a single cut. A 335, you turn it over, the body shape's the same. It's the one guitar that you could easily do a lefty with, and it's like,
I
wow,
know, they would do it.
It kind of defeats the name custom.
I think that's what I thought. I thought it was custom, but no. But I guess the Blues Foundation was able to pull some strings and get them to do it.
That's pretty cool.
So some angry,
really cool.
Some angry luthier there. He's like, "I'll never make a left-handed 335."
Yeah.
It's like if there's one guitar you put your foot down for and say, "No, it's that one." Really?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. That's crazy.
Just flip the pattern over.
Like, no, we don't do a left-handed SG. No.
No, exactly. Precisely.
Wow. So, what was I going to ask? You said you won the award for best family band as well, right?
Yes, we did. In the same year in 2008, and we got the best band. Yeah.
Wow.
And with that came opportunities to play, many festivals. And, since then we started, it garnered a friendship with Norway and their blues festivals and blues clubs.
Uh-huh.
And, we're highly revered over there. And it's, so we're actually going back over there next week for some reunion shows at the 30th anniversary of the Newtown Blues Festival. And it's a huge festival. They have top-notch artists. It's just so cool. Like last time I think we were there, we were opening up for Jack Bruce was on bass, Robin Trower on guitar, and Gary Husband on drums. Like,
that's
so cool. Like,
they could have got somebody.
And they're doing Sunshine of Your Love and Bridge of Sighs. They did both healthy. Yeah, like this is a kick butt festival. Is what I'm saying. Joe Bonamasso's played there with Communion.
Black Country Communion.
Black Country Communion, yeah.
Yeah, Black Country Communion, yeah, and he's also played over there, with his band too. So they have killer lineup.
Now this is obviously not the family band because you said your dad had passed.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm assuming your trio. When did you make the transition from the family band to the trio? When did you put the trio together?
Oh yeah, well, it was a couple years ago. My brother and sister and I had been playing together for about 12 years and decided, we needed to take some time apart and do our own things for a while, and so we moved on with that. And so I started playing, and I just happened to, I had two different drummers that I played with for about a year, and then found Adam and Cliff, and these guys are just the best. They're awesome. And Adam Hagerman on drums and Cliff Moore on bass. I mean, Cliff Moore played with Michael Burks for a couple of years, and he was an incredible blues guitarist. And the drummer plays with Haddon Sayers, and he's played with Smoke and Joe Kubek before he passed away. And just a lot of hard rock and kick butt blues guitar players. So the guy knows how to play what I'm going for, and it's cool too because they're both in Kansas City. So it's really fun. We have a great time and get along on the road. And besides that, we're all in Kansas City. So it's easy to travel and still have families and be in and out like we are. Sure. And, to set up things like rehearsal, Yeah, exactly. It's handy to have everybody in town. And I know there's a lot of bands that don't do that. They have to overcome those difficulties of having players in different parts of the U.S. Sure. When did you do your first recording? I'm assuming that was with the family band. So is there something out there that our listeners can go listen to? Well, see, man, and there's parts of my story too that I haven't that we haven't really mentioned. When I was 18, I just turned 18, and I moved out to Philadelphia to play in Philly and New York, and I lived out there for about 9 years and played all up and down the East Coast, and got a real appreciation for that part of the country. And I had a band called K-Floor, and we played a lot in Philadelphia and toured, like I said, doing blues rock and a lot of the blues festivals on the West Coast, so on the East Coast. So it was really cool to come back through the East Coast with my brother and sister when we started, But our first recording, we did a few live albums first. My brother and sister and I did, and then we started working with an engineer and putting together easy, quick records just to help get ourselves out. And it's some of our best work too. It's really cool. Nice. But yeah, K4, we put a cut out. It was like from like 98 to 2004. I also played with a band called Buddahead, and we actually got to record with John Popper on a couple tracks. That was really fun. I remember the name of that band. Around New York City. I remember the name of that band because it was the same name as my last amp company. Oh wow! Okay. Buddha. Wow! Yeah. Oh wow! That's right, man. Yeah, I do remember that name. Really cool. There you go. Yeah, that's kick butt. And I remember seeing your amps when I was out playing with those guys. So I was like, look, there you go. See. Somebody's getting it.
That's right. That's too funny. So you were working with John Popper?
Yeah, a little bit. He had done some guesting on the album with Buddahead, so we had but yeah, and that was out of New York. It was near New York City, so I was up there a lot, playing shows and just hanging out. So
nice.
Being from Kansas City, down a little town 70 miles south of Kansas City, and hanging out in New York City, working in the studio with John Popper's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was pre-weight loss, John Popper.
Yes, it was. Wait. No, it was post.
Oh.
It was like right after. Like just I don't know, like maybe 6-8 months after or something like that.
Oh wow.
I remember that, yeah. Yeah. Because if you ever met him, he's really tall. You know, he's really tall. Like he stands over everybody. He's really tall, and so when he's thinner like that, then he looks even taller.
That's right.
And I just love the guy. He's just a great player and just wonderful to hang out with and record with. Just thankful for the opportunity and memories. So we continue on forward, man. You know, and when I won that Albert King Award in 2008 or whatever, they gave me Don Ritter at Category 5. Gave me a really cool, great 212 amp. It's like 40 watts, and it's a tank. I've had it ever since. It's been my main amp. I have twins and a few other amps, but that's my main go-to, and it always sounds great. I plug right into it.
Oh, really?
Just let it rip. Yeah, just right into it and let it rip.
Wow. Let's go back a little bit. And what preceded that? You mentioned twins. Like you're more of a Fender guy, I would assume. Doing what you do.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, it's been definitely more of a Fender style, but some of their amps don't really get it to where I want it. You know, some of them. It depends on what I'm playing, though. You know, and if I'm doing a lot more like vintage blues kind of stuff, you know, I have a silver face twin that just got the reverb on the twins is what really gets me going on those. You know, they have such a nice wash, and it's the sparkle on the reverbs. Some other reverbs come in a little too quiet for me, but I like that old punchy kind of reverb that kind of lasts and hang. You know,
it's got a long tail on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a long tail on it, but it's not like over the top. You know, and I love the vibrato on those old twins, those old Fenders. You know, whenever I go to a festival, what I do is I request a super and a DeVille. I go into the DeVille and then out of the DeVille into the super. And then you got like a real head, a lot of headroom and gain on the front end, and then on the other amp you got this nice clarity and wash with the vibrato and reverb. You know, I like playing with amps instead of pedals. I got a new pedal trick that my buddy showed me though, and I was using it over this last weekend. I don't really use them, but it's a blues driver. Take a blues driver and set everything at 12, and then you take a Boss EQ pedal, and you make like a frowny face on the EQ, and you push, you drop all the lows and all the highs out of it, and it's this throaty like fire boost. It's killer.
Wow.
It's a nice distortion. It's a weird, and the blues, so you just put the blues driver on, you got a nice solid distortion, and then you hit this thing, and it's like, oh my God. It just gets funky, like kind of like a telephone scoop on an EQ or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, but it makes all these mid notes ring out. It's kind of sick.
Wow. It's, I think that's kind of what everybody associates like a TS9 with. It's got drive and it's got this mid peak, and some people love it for that reason and some people hate it for that reason. Sure.
I mean, when you start getting into pedals and stuff, there is so many things, so many ways you can go with it, but, I think he's also trying to, with the EQ, they were saying that it kind of dumblifies it a little bit, gives it a little bit dumble quality of distortion.
Yeah, because
that's cool
lower mids are kind of predominant there.
Really?
Yeah.
And see, sometimes that that's not what I'm looking for. I like a little bit of a higher mid, but I like just taking a Les Paul and just turning the amp up and let it rip.
Well, there truly is nothing better.
I was going to say, there's
one of my favorites is to take a super and you take the Leslie, like a Leslie cabinet. They have a bag, and you take a super and just put it on like 8, and then just put the bag over it and put a mic in front of it.
Huh?
Put a bag over it. Wow.
Just so just to keep the stage volume down, but just straight tubes.
I knew a girl named Leslie that looked really good with a bag over her head.
You take that girl Leslie, you put a bag over her head, and it's just like it's
great
magic.
on stage. It's great on stage.
Looks great on stage.
Oh my God!
Put a nice dress on her, a bag on her head. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, a super is probably my favorite Fender amp, and it does have more of a mid quality than like a Pro or a Twin. And they're made that way, and it's not just because of the speakers. It's because the EQ, the tone stack in that amp, is different than a Twin or a Pro or a Deluxe.
Oh, it is.
Absolutely, it's a different tone stack, and that's what gives it such a mid characteristic. I think what Fender was going for is because they were 10s, they wanted to keep like some of the bottom end out. And some of the top end out because they figured the 10s couldn't hold the bottom end, and maybe the 10s were bright enough on top, so they wanted to keep some of the top out. So, it was kind of, instead of pulling the top and bottom out, which is harder to do in that kind of circuit, they just wound up making selections that would make it more mid-heavy than top and bottom. And I think that's why they did it, because of the 10s and what they already had and what they couldn't handle, and they wound up making an amp it's probably the closest to like a Marshall voice than a Twin or a Pro or a Deluxe. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Inherent. It's kind of inherent in a Super and no other Fender amp.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. And I've also played because I was doing a lot of Twin stuff, but then I found a friend. I met a guy, and he had a ton of like vintage Marshall amps, and he brought out this, and he like keeps them just tight, and he had this vintage Blues Breaker, and so it's kind of like a Twin. It's got the 212, and that thing screamed, man. That thing was awesome. That was neat too. I like Marshalls too. I bet. I like this, but typically it's not going to be. It's going to be the older ones. The older ones. Just I can't. Some of the newer, the new Marshall sound. And when I was a kid, I had one of those. What was it? I can't remember which Marshall it was. It was like a JCM
800.
200, I think it was. JCM 800. That's right. Yeah. But then I played it, and I was like, okay, I'll just take. I'll just get my Fender back. And then I got to play on an old school stack, like from the 60s, and that thing was cool. That thing sounded awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like what you like is not a lot of front end. Like when they started to do the master volume JCM 800s, everybody was relying on front end gain and not opening up the output stage because, well, early on you could open up the output stage because everybody was still playing 50 and 100 watt Marshalls. They just wanted more front end gain. But as people got away from stage volume, they wound up relying more on front end gain, and it sounds like you like the amp to be nice and open and the power tubes, to be doing their thing, and it just having the amp be more dynamic than just with front end gain, because you probably have the touch and the style that works well with an amp that's set up that way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I got this Category 5. It's a 40 watt amp, and I keep it the master on you would call, I guess, like, I guess I would put it on like 8 probably, and then it's cathode biased for the tubes, and you could put any kind of tubes in it. But when you the output is like a power soak, but it's on a rheostat.
Oh, okay.
So it's on a dial, so you can it actually affects the loudness of the amp and the presence. But I keep that up pretty high, yeah, and then I'll add the front end, the front end gain as needed. you know, and still keep it pretty hot. But yeah, I like to have nice, clear, clean notes, but then also just turn the guitar up a little more and crunch on it.
Yeah,
Sweet, this thing, I can fill up a room with it, you know, and it's not too loud. People can sit 8-10 feet away from it and not be, you know, getting their, you know, bled out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like, you know, I love people. I appreciate people a lot that know how to set up an amp and then work it with those little things on the guitar called volume and tone controls. You know, it makes all the difference in the world when you can do that.
Yeah, you can actually play with the sounds, man, and I get all kinds of stuff. People are always, you know, players or even just listeners are just like, man, you can get 1,000 tones out of that thing. Like, it's all right there.
That's right. It's fingers and knobs, you know.
Yeah, Leslie West, his thing was, remember he said he never needed that neck pickup because he could just roll the tone back.
Right.
And he could get that woman sound.
Oh, okay.
You know, he could get the woman sound out of a Les Paul Jr.
Yeah, I mean, a junior doesn't have a neck pickup, so you got no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, true enough. Those guitars are so cool. See, that's another thing about being left-handed is I don't get to play all that. I mean, I can play upside down, but you know, at the point now, you know, like I really love to have little juniors. You know, that'd be cool. But you know, I would buy unless I could find a left-handed one. That's just gosh darn impossible.
Yeah, because it's a single cut that makes it as pain in the butt as the Les Paul was.
Oh yeah.
You know, however, I did find this place called the Left-Handed Sanctuary, and I'm friends with them. They live in Indiana, and they have a left-handed guitar museum, and they have all this old vintage stuff. I think they have like a junior. They have some other stuff like that, and I mean, so many left-handed. I mean, 300 or 400. But the one thing is that none of them are for sale.
Oh man.
That's just a big tease.
I'm looking at the mother load. Yeah, it's a big tease. I'm looking at the mother load. He's like, well, you're welcome to come in and play him anytime you want. I was like, well, thank you. I'd love to. But I can't take him home.
But then I'll just get jealous and walk out heartbroken, and, you know, what's the point of that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, just buy a right-handed junior and have somebody with a, you know, a coping saw just, you know, do the double cut for you, you know? That would be kind of cool. Yeah. So, do you write most of your stuff, or is, you know, a good bit of it covers of cool blues stuff?
Well, you know, no, I write a lot. I write most of my material. I always have, and you know, I'm just now starting to work on a new record. And I'm working with a couple songwriters in Nashville for the first time, and it's really fun. I'm having a great time with it, and you know, we're staying on track with my song ideas and making my songs better and still getting some work done. And I'm really just happy to be doing that. But no, I'm still very much in the writing process, especially with arranging. And you know, I want my song to match my lyrics really well. And you know, I kind of look at the whole song and everything at once, and you know, those comparts, but it all has to come together a specific way, you know, for me as a whole.
Yeah, it's kind of like everyone's kind of like your baby. It's a new birth, and you know, it's you want it to be what you're hearing in your head, you know.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. No, there's, you know, and it's been really cool. You know, I also play dobro too. It's like a resonator, and that's like another side to my style. And I play slide on it, and
cool.
You know, use finger picks, and I got a Telecaster. It's a Dean. It's made by Dean, and it's from the early 2000s. And the thing about it is it's got a biscuit pickup, like a resonator, and it's got that old sound, but it also has a pickup slot, which if you buy like an old National, a 1932 National, you're not going to want to cut the pickups, you know, the slot for a pickup in it.
Right.
You know, you don't want to do that. So this is like a cool new guitar that I was playing around with, and so it had this weird old foil pickup. It had this weird foil pickup in it. And I pulled it out and put a Telecaster a neck pickup in it, a lipstick, and it's got the coolest crunch.
Nice.
And you know, and I wired it directly with the biscuit pickup together, so it's got this unique tone that I haven't really heard anybody else, you know, using. But it's real bright, but it's still got this warmth. Because that biscuit pickup is hot. you know, and it's tinny and almost unpleasing. But when you put the telly pickup with it, it makes a unique warm sound that I'm fond of and have been working with for years. So that's where I'm at with that. I love that.
That's really cool. And you that's all set up for slide.
Yeah, but it's just high enough that it's a slide guitar, but you can still fret it.
Cool.
Yeah, and like the guy did a great job cutting the nut on it, and so it's just right.
Nice. So when you're recording, are you recording with your trio, or do you wind up using studio guys and just take the trio out live, or some guys?
Well,
do both?
at this point, you know, I'm still kind of getting new to on the road with the guys and things like that, and you know, we're still trying to figure that out if we're going to go with the guys that I play, because I got great guys that I'm playing with live.
Mm-hmm.
But the producer wants it a certain way. He may encourage me to use some other guys just to get this printed the way that he needs it, so that he can make the best record that he can. So, you know, we're still talking about that, trying to figure that out. But I like to track how I normally track. We track live, and we get drums and bass and rhythm guitar and all in one shot. And then if I have to repair any rhythm tracks, I'll repair them then, like right then. And then get the vocal on, and then then it's turn down the lights and turn the amps up and do some solos.
Well, so you just answered another question of mine. Amps or virtual? So I'm guessing you're an amp guy.
Well, I'm definitely always an amp guy, but then we send a you know, do a direct box and send an extra signal straight to the board from the guitar, so that we got a good, if we want to mess around with it, we can, you know. But it's really tough for me too, because I use reverb. I don't have to use it all the time, but you know, it's part of the blues sound, and it's so hard for me to track a real solo without any reverb on my guitar. Like, you know, if I'm going to let notes hang real long and stuff, I just kind of want to hear it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Is, you know, a lot of producers or engineers is like, we'll put that on later because you don't want to print with any kind of effects in case you want to change it. But then again, it's such a part of your style. You know, things feel naked without it. You know, so that's always a catch-22.
Exactly, Jeff. Yeah, that's a funny one. But you know, we just get around and get through it. But you know, and I don't like to plan a solo out, but I like to have a couple of things in place when I'm going into it. So like we said, you know, it's your baby, it's your song, and you know, I've been the album I'm getting right for now. You know, has a lot of, you know, guitar riffs and melodies and that go to each song, and that song has that riff, and that's it. You know, that, you know, and I won't play that riff in any other songs, just to keep that one there for that tune. You know, and you know, I'm trying to, you know, digging into some different guitar styles for this next record that I haven't really used on any previous records.
Nice.
You know, Jeff, I can't wait until the day when we talk to a blues guy like Nick, and we go, so what are you using in the studio? And he goes, an Ibanez Prestige with a fractal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And it'd be like, don't you have like 20 Gibsons and a bunch of Fenders? And
exactly. What kind of blues do you play on that? You know?
I love messing with stuff. I love playing with those pedals. There's one pedal that I've been thinking that I really want to get. It's the Emu harmonizer pedal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, but it's you have to think about this thing. This thing does like, I don't know, like 6 voices, and you can teach it songs and play, and it'll harmonize with you. It's really bizarre. But I was just thinking about, because I do this like kind of experimental feel at times in the show, and you know, whether I'm taking my 335, and because I have a Leslie cabinet that I use an old Leslie when I play.
Nice.
It's one of those old Fender Leslie style cabinets, but I'll take my guitar, I'll turn the amp all the way up, and I'll take my guitar and run the strings over the Leslie and make those racket and just have fun, crank the reverb up and just, you know, make a bunch of noise. But I was thinking about doing this pedal, like doing like straight blues all night and then whipping the harmonizer pedal out and playing some crazy ass jazz.
keep it fresh, man. Keep it fresh. You know, hit them with what they don't expect.
Yeah.
Hit them with what they don't expect.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you said the Fender style. So is it a vibratone?
A Fender.
The Leslie kind of thing.
What? Oh yeah, no, it's a Leslie, Leslie brand Leslie, and it's got the but it's not the vibratone. It was the vibratone was originally made by Leslie, and Fender would just put their badge on it.
Right.
And so you'll see a cross between the back badge and the front badge. It'll say Fender, it'll say Leslie. This is a 64, I think, and it has it's Leslie on the front and on the back. And
cool.
It's got like a 12 in it, and then it's got a drum that rotates in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, it's got such a neat sound, and people really like it. You know, being a 3-piece, I mean, I could easily just get a Leslie pedal, you know, simulator pedal. But I got guys that once they hear that and they feel it and they stand next to it and play it, they're like, oh, there's no way a pedal can do that. You can't throw sound like that.
There's something about the physical movement of that, because you get the whoosh that goes along with it, and you know, I mean, Stevie Ray used to use one all the time too.
Yeah, and the cabinet's got a certain grind. Leslie's, the speakers, and whenever I play through a 122 or something, they just got this cool grind to them, you know, that I really like playing on. So it's cool to have that. It's an extra box to carry, but it's worth it. I have fun with it. And just being a 3-piece, it's kind of nice to have an organ feel, like as if there was a keyboard player in the band, maybe.
Sure. Well, you have to carry a head for that too, right?
No, it's basically an external speaker, and you integrate. You unplug the combo. You plug the speakers out of the back, and then you plug the wiring for the Leslie foot switch, and it's just like a Fender reverb and vibrato foot switch that goes on the floor, and it's just got a handful of cables that kind of go from that to the back, and then you bypass your speakers going into your combo, and then you just
okay. So you're using the Cat 5 for both. You're just switching between the combo speakers and the Leslie. Cool.
Yeah, or you can also do exactly what you said and use another head, and then because whenever you use one amp for both cabinets, it makes when you click the amp on, when the amp's on by itself, and then you click the Leslie on, the amp volume drops because it's sharing a load between the speaker load between the Leslie and the 212s. So sometimes it's nice to have the extra head and just have an AB switch, an ABY switch that you can just go into both rigs with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know who did that is and not with that setup, but actually did some parts on his guitar, and I'm not sure if it was a Univibe or I guess it was Audley Freed during the Cry of Love years. There was there was a couple songs that he would do that you were like, oh, okay, they got an organ, they got a keyboard player, and then you go see him live and you're like, oh, he's doing that on guitar.
Yeah.
Because he would turn the rate all the way up, and you get that organ type thing going on, and it was really, he could do that very well. Audley Freed is a machine. You know how he is.
Oh, I love his play.
Yeah,
love his playing.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, so that was I don't remember. I don't know if I ever saw them.
Cry of Love.
Cry of Love or his rig.
Yeah, he ran a 4-input JMP and had a like a Frankenstein Strat. And,
cool.
That band ended so quick because that singer passed away, and it was, it was just like the end of it. And they were like, it was like the rebirth of Free and Bad Company.
Yeah.
And, but, I mean, that was just a Leslie trick that he did without the Leslie.
Yeah, sure enough.
So.
I love it.
See, now you'll be doing that next week. You see that?
Yes, that's right. Yes, I will. I like that trick. That sounds like a good one. But I just love your amps. I love what Davey was playing on your amps. It sounded great, man.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think your amps sound wonderful, and I love it with his Telecaster, what you guys are doing with the head sounding really good.
Oh yeah. That's a great sounding Tele.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, Jeff, Nick reminds me a lot of like just a I don't know. He's got that voice sound of like Tommy Conwell. You know,
I love Tommy Conwell.
You know,
Tommy's awesome, man.
Yeah, and he's doing it in such a stripped down version. You know, like Tommy has, you know, usually has like a horn guy and he has another guitar player and all. And Nick's thing is like, well, we're going to strip this down, and you get that. And it's like if he's got that same kind of raspy vocal, which is just totally blues and cool. Man.
Oh yeah,
I dig that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. Yeah, no, I did because Tommy's from Philly, so I would see him a lot and played a lot of shows with him.
Oh, cool.
Back in the day, it's some smaller clubs in Philly, so it was really cool. Yeah, it was really cool to be around him and hear his stuff. And you know, he's such a kick-ass guitar player and singer, and I love his songs. And yeah, he always had that sax player with him that he gigged with, you know. And he was playing rock and roll, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's you know, playing some bebop, you know. He's just great. Yeah, Tommy's something else.
Well, I think a little bit rubbed off on you, you know,
man,
in a good way.
Oh yeah, totally. I'll take
cool.
that. Yeah, Tommy's great, man. That's funny. That's awesome. But yeah, man. So what's in the future? You know, I'm looking to get. I want to get a new Cat 5. I want to get something that's just maybe a little bigger than the 40 watt.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about just getting another 40 watt and having two of them, and maybe do a few little tricks to the other one to make it. I'd like a bigger sound out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like the one that I have now. I'd love to have something that kind of accompany it, like, you know, like I was saying with the DeVille and the Super. I always love using the headroom on the DeVille. I mean, and the DeVille's not my favorite amp by any means. It's just usually what they'll have available at a festival. So you kind of have to work with, you know. But they have some really nice amps, you know. But they'll have some old tweets and things like that sound great too. But you know, my best approach was always to use a DeVille for the front end to distortion, gain, and then use a Super for volume. So maybe if I get another amp from them, I'll get something that's got a little clearer, bigger volume out of it.
Yeah, and see, you're a guy. You're so, you know, your setup is so basic. You are at the mercy of the back line more than most people, because you know nowadays guys will travel with, you know, a small pedal board, you know, for fly gigs, and all their sounds are pretty much on that board. They just need something that's kind of loud and clean, and all their other tones come from that board. You're like, yeah, I'm plugging straight into the amp. So the amp's got to be close to what you want, and not just this clean pedal palette, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I've ran into friends, and I won't say any names, but I've had buddies that were on the road, and we're flying everywhere, and they show up and their pedal board didn't make it to the airport, didn't make it on the plane, and then they're like my whole gig is that, you know, vibrato pedal, you know, like that's my gig, and he's like, and I don't have it.
See, that's why you got to go. We interviewed Paul Gilbert, and Paul Gilbert says he builds his pedal board, and he makes it so it fits right in his luggage. And his clothes then become the thing to protect the pedals.
I love it. That's the way, dude. You have to find a way around this stuff, man. And you got to keep it in your carry-on. I keep a full tone in my carry-on just in case.
There you go.
2-stage full tone, just in case.
Yeah, because, you know, and I was thinking, you are at the mercy of the back line, but then you flipped it around and go, okay, well, if the pedal board doesn't show up, you're SOL. You know, so it's like both things can happen. You know, it's That's when you just got to be a pro and step up and go, you know, show must go on. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah, just take that Super and just turn it all the way up and put a bag over it.
Perfect. I love it.
It'll break up in about 15 minutes. 10 minutes, it'll break up.
I love that. Well, you said you're in the studio now. Any idea of when the next release is going to happen?
Yeah, we're talking about next April is when we're shooting. We're shooting to record it. We have dates set in September, so we'll record it in September, and then we'll spend 3 months, you know, mixing and mastering it, and then as the new year hits, that'll be our big campaign for the release.
Very cool, very cool. I know I forgot. Well, you mentioned Cat 5, and you mentioned that you play Gibsons. Any other endorsement kind of things you want to mention? Cables, strings, picks, capos.
I wish there was. I need to get some more endorsements. I love to play people's stuff, and I love to promote it. I mean, I use the stuff that I use. I'm not endorsed by them. I'd love to be I use Dunlop picks because the purple ones that my dad used, the Tortex ones.
Oh, cool.
And I just hung on to those, and I've just played those for years. So, I love Dunlop's products, and I like Boss's tuners, but other than that, I love it. Cat 5. I'm also endorsed by Delaney Guitars. My Delaney guitar is going to be done soon.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Another amp company, Red Plate. Red Plate. I have a Red Plate endorsement, and Henry's just a really cool guy, and I love his stuff. Other than that, I think that's about it.
Well, I always say you can't go wrong with that Dunlop stuff and even the Boss stuff. Those companies sometimes they get a little backhanded.
But they're mainstays,
sure.
man. They're mainstays.
And here's the thing. Like if you're out and you're in the middle of somewhere, but they have a music store, there's a good chance they're going to have that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. It's true. Another pedal company in town here, JHS, that's in Kansas City. They're really blowing up around the country.
Oh yeah.
And I have yet to go down to their shop. I'd love to go to their shop and get some funky pedal. Have them build some blues pedal.
Yeah, and you'll need two of them, one for the pedal board and one for your suitcase.
Yes, exactly. But one for the portable. Oh my gosh. Gosh, I've gotten so, and then and that's another thing too. If I show up my guitars, don't make, because sometimes they won't let you put them above you. I always try to make a stink and get my guitar in the overhead. But if it just doesn't happen, and I have to gate check it, and they take it, and I showed up at a festival, and I didn't have a guitar, and that's okay because there's a lot of other guitar players there. But how many left-handed guitar players are there?
Exactly.
Hardly. There was none, and then they're like, "Oh, do you need a left-hand? What do you need?" I said, "I need a nice left-handed Gibson. Can you find one?" He's like, let me get working on that. It's like, yeah, you have 2 hours to find me a left-handed Gibson.
Wow. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, they could make a little dent in the gig.
I could, I don't have any pedal that I really need for my entire show, and I can probably make do with most half-decent amps you could put in a backline, but you got a left-handed Gibson, Wow.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God.
Yeah, they just make it more and more difficult now to get to the gig.
Yeah, for sure. Woo. For sure.
I'm telling you. Man.
That is beautiful.
That is. Well, Nick, thanks for taking the time, man. Best of luck. Can't wait to hear the new stuff. Best of luck with that, recording it and mixing it and releasing it, and hopefully touring behind it. And I guess if it's coming out next April,
we'll have to have him back on.
Well, you should start being able to push that in time for next spring and summer touring season too.
There you go.
So.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's a good plan. But I'd love to talk to you guys anytime about gear and and nerd out, and I'm sure I'll come up with a couple other things between now and then. But
cool,
you guys
man.
are great. Thank you, Jeff.
And we'll keep an eye out for you in case you're running through the neighborhood again sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mick. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem, man. This is awesome. And remember, we're going to have your website and all your social media aligned with the show, and that will live in
perpetuity.
That's right, because we want to make sure people get out there to check out your stuff, and it's really cool. And in a world of all high gain and everything else, it's kind of nice to have that roots kind of thing, because that's where it all started, man. And you do it well.
And it's not all clean. I mean, he knows how to make this basic stuff dirt up really pretty. He does.
And the new saying is, just turn it up and put a bag over it.
There you go.
Tip of the week. There you go.
Now, do you have any particular kind of bag that you like to use?
Well, Enduro makes a bag for for Leslie's. I've also used a kick bag, like a kick drum bag.
Okay.
Those are a little more readily available at times. I don't know. Or if you just really don't care, you just leave it open.
There you go.
And then you're on the main stage at a festival, and they're like, well, "You're not in the mains," and you're still overpowering the band.
I doubt that. You got to be at a festival of 23 people in order for that to happen.
Yeah, true.
Outdoors, stuff just goes everywhere, and you got to throw a mic in front of it in most cases, and then a bag over it.
And then a bag over it.
In a bag.
All right, Nick. Thank you so very much. You and your bag have a great rest of the evening, a great time in the studio, and much continued success, my friend. And there you have the story, bag and all.
Yeah. What a cool guy, because and it was weird, and I wanted to, you guys got into it, so I wasn't going to interrupt. And sometimes with talking over the phone, it gets a little weird because you got to step on him a little bit. But when I met him, I'd given him the card, and I was like, this guy's really cool, and he's a great player, and he sings awesome. And I gave him the card. And how long ago was that, Jeff? It was like over a year ago.
Yeah.
And then he just contacted me. I was like, get out of town. He still had it. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Well, the card just finally rose to the top of the stack.
Yeah, yeah. And he probably, like he said, he's been out there touring like crazy. So he figured, I got some downtime. Let me look and talk to these guys. And how cool is that, though? Because usually, when you hand out your card, you never know. It just goes into an abyss or something,
Right.
But that was really cool that he, that he wanted to come on the show. And you can tell, man, he's an honest, genuine guy. And that says a lot, especially in today's world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's an honest player, too. There's not much between his fingers and what you hear,
Not at all.
It's fingers, guitar, cable, amp, go. And that makes you honest.
Yeah.
And he's good. I like his style. He's a very well phrased blues player, and he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that
three-piece.
thing, man.
It's just lay it out there. 3-piece blues, go.
Yeah, kind of like how we wish ZZ Top would do it again.
Right.
Because if you listen to the old stuff in the beginning, it was that way.
Yeah.
And and that right there, everybody's working for their keep.
Absolutely. Ain't hiding behind nothing or nobody.
No. And when you go,
everybody knows it.
When you go into a solo and all that's there is that bass player and that drummer, everybody's being told on at that time.
Oh yeah.
Man.
But that's when you go into a solo and it doesn't. Nothing falls out. That's when you got a good rhythm section.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They step up just a little bit to fill in what would have been a hole, and that's when you got a good couple of guys behind you.
Yeah, our good buddy Jared James Nichols, same way. JD Simo. I mean, we've interviewed a couple of these younger cats that are like this, and it's a very cool thing, man. Very cool.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So until next time, my friend.
That's right, because we might have another left-handed upside-down player for you. You never know.
That's two, not in a row, but close. I'm Mick Marcelino.
I'm Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying,
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmpsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.